Guys, what is going on? It's Cooley, and today on this fine, lovely day, the weather here is finally warm in New York. Today I got a video for you detailing some builds for Sylvie. I've taken a great interest in this unit. She's really one of my favorites, very quickly. And my boy Howell's just released a video also detailing some Sylvie builds, which basically focused primarily on HP and defense and spirit with some LB fill rate thrown in. Nice balance, very good builds. This video is meant to give you another option. Those builds on Howell's videos are excellent and should definitely be considered by any player, especially the free-to-play version. The build that I came up with really focuses on LB fill rates and still keeps our HP pretty high. So we've got multiple different variations of the build that we're going to get into that for all different levels of players should be totally usable and perfect. So we're going to get into it now, and I'll start it off with the no STMR version of this build. Okay, so a couple of things before we start is that we're going to assume that her HP pots are maximized. We're going to assume that her defense and spirit pots are maximized. And we're going to assume that her limit burst is level 30, okay? So with all of that in mind, I'm going to show you guys a couple of builds, right? So we're going to be focusing on the primary stat we're going to be focusing on is LB fill rate. I believe that LB fill rate is still uncapped in global. Like, you can just raise it as much as you possibly can. Secondary stat is going to be her HP. Reason why is because more HP, more survivability, and none of her abilities really focus on using defense or spirit to maximize their effect. Besides her one like cooldown HP regeneration move. And as a tertiary stat there, the third one will focus on either defense or spirit. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to focus on the spirit side. This way it's not 2 hours long of 27 different builds. And as a bonus, and we can fit it in on certain builds, 30% plus element resist all across the board, and 100% status immunity, at least to the disabling status conditions. So let's take a look at the first one. First build we have is a Bowie knife with the rare ability. Now, on a lot of the builds, I only put 100% LB fill rate instead of the actual second rare one, which is 150%, because we don't currently have it available to us, and we'll have to wait until Item World comes around again with 150. But there are some builds in here that have it at 150%. But the first one we have here, this is basically no 5-star base TMRs and no STMRs. And it puts her at 12,835 HP, just over 700 spirit. It keeps her at 30% or more resist to all elements and all disabling status conditions, including silence, which you definitely want to protect her from, which I think she, by default, has protection to it. This way you don't lose anything with her ability to cast magic. Now, the thing to keep in mind is, these builds are built so that she will always be able to use her limit burst every single turn. Now, you don't have to use it every turn because, you know, the 70% element resist buff lasts 3 turns, and in 3 turns you're definitely going to fill this up. But what this is built for is right here. Assuming that she gets 5 limit burst crystals, right? So you see it just went up to, LB per turn just went up to 35. And if you have somebody on the team using a 200% LB fill rate buff on top of what she already has, which is, you know, Riku's pouch with eccentric, right? Anybody can use that. We now see that it goes up to 45 LB per turn. This means that she's going to get 45 LB per turn as long as she gets 5 crystals. And even if she doesn't get the 5 crystals, even if she gets 4 or 3, you know, within 2 turns you're going to have that limit burst filled again. You're never going to lose that elemental buff unless, of course, you're dealing with like dispel mechanics. So the build is Bowie knife, Lust dagger, both with the rare ability. One built for spirit, one focused on HP. Right? The Royal Crown, Heavy Drake's Armor, Mystical Skull, her own TMR. This is the only 5-star base TMR that we're putting on the build because obviously if you have Sylvie, you're going to get her TMR. Like, don't be silly. Accelerating Power, which you get from the latest Mama's Chocobo. Then Bomb Spirit from Trial, Thirst for Survival, and Successor. Successor, I believe, is Shera's TMR, regular good old 3-star Shera. And of course, Crow's Thirst for Survival. So very easy to build this one. Okay? It's going to keep your HP at a little bit of a low level, but what you have to keep in mind is every time she uses a limit burst, you're getting 3,500 more HP tacked on top of that. Okay? Her MP is never going to be a problem. She's 845 MP with this build, and the limit burst restores 35% of that. On top of that, you see her MP per turn that she regenerates is at 10%. It's 84. So she's never going to lose MP. She's never going to be out of MP. She's always going to be able to restore MP. This build would actually work really well for a fight where you get, you know, preemptively like MP drained. You could just fill her limit burst, fill everybody's MP back up, give them an HP barrier, and then the rest of your characters that still have actions left over can actually move on turn 1 instead of just guarding. So this is like the most accessible version of this build. Like, I want to say the lowest tier, okay? So if we look here, right? You see, I put a lot of work into actually building many different ones, okay? Complete with how many limit burst crystals it would actually take to fill her limit burst. So like 5 crysts in a turn to fill up a 45 cryst LB is insanely good, okay? So let's look at it this way. This build that we just showed with no 5-star base TMRs, no STMRs. Let's look at it if we had no buffs, like no eccentric buffs, right? So this is without no buffs, and we put 6 crysts, right? So yeah, you need 1 more cryst to fill it, but you're also gaining tons more HP and tons more spirit as well. Now, all the rest of these builds are pretty much going to be like STMR territory. So if you want to use it without doing that, if you're a free-to-play person or you haven't gotten like tons of STMR stuff, then, you know, refer to that first build. At the end, you're going to end up with like about 15k HP each turn when you use limit burst, so you're really not, you know, that's a solid level of HP for a support unit. You should have no problem clearing any content with Sylvie on your team. So this build is exactly the same goal, right? But just with higher HP, higher spirit. Bowie knife, lust dagger, same thing, 100% LB fill rate, right? Your Righteous Hairpin, King's Armor, Shortcake, her own TMR, Heroes Vow, Earth, Dream of the Faith. Dream of the Faith is, you know, Sylvie has brought Dream of the Faith back to the forefront because of its 150% LB fill rate buff. Protector of Lapis, and Unquestionable Loyalty. Unquestionable Loyalty, I think, is the only thing here in the materia slots that doesn't give you LB fill rate. So if you need a little bit of a push, you can probably ditch this for some more LB fill rate, like one of the other Heroes Vow materials, but you're going to lose HP. Keep that in mind. You're going to lose a lot of HP. Now, Lakshmi is here on this build. I'm not sure if I put this here manually or if the builder did, but Lakshmi is also a really, 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 really good choice for an Esper for Sylvie, and the reason being is that it comes with a full AoE heal, which is the one thing that Sylvie does not have. Okay, so in one of those off turns, you need to summon an Esper or whatever, or you need some emergency healing. You're not running a healer alongside Sylvie, which I do recommend you should do. But if you don't, boom, here it is. Here's the healer. Okay, so she's got status immunity across the board, at least 30% resist in all elements, so that once her limit burst is up, you have 100%. Obviously, you're going to adjust this fight to fight, trial to trial, you know, based on your need. But this is just a general build that you would need to use. Okay, so this one would take 6 LB Cris. This is without any sort of LB gauge fill rate buff, okay? Now this one right here, this one's a little more STMR heavy. This is with a 200% buff, only taking 4 crystals, but not worrying about the element resist and stuff, okay? So this one comes with 15k, 15.5k HP, 1100 spirit though. Both Bowie Knife and Lust Dagger still the same, 100% LB fill rate. Your Righteous Hairpin, Elephant Stress, Shortcake, Twin Bunny Clips. Same, and this one drops Unquestionable Loyalty for Heroes Vow Light and uses Carbuncle in there, right? Carbuncle also has, like, you know, you can learn auto limit with it. With Carbuncle, so that's why it puts it there a lot. Alright. Now this one's really good because it comes with all of those things that we had in the builds before. And this is saying, wait, no. I think this is 4 Chris with a eccentric LB buff, right? Would give you 46 per turn, keep you at 17,000 HP, over 1,000 spirit, almost 1,000 MP, right? And this is with both weapons having the secondary 150% LB fill rate buff, okay? Which as soon as Item World comes out and daggers are part of the 4 item types that we can get to the extra level rare, I fully suggest you use a Bowie knife and a Lust dagger and get them both with the rare ability. Elephant's dress, Uriash's hairpin. Uriash's hairpin gets thrown in there because it gives a huge HP and spirit buff. This one uses 2 of her TMR, which, let's face it, if you have a 7-star Sylvie, you should make 2 of her TMR. Don't be silly. This one throws in Everlasting Kindness for even more spirit. Lakshmi again for the Esper, just in case she needs to heal. Okay. Now let's look at one that has only a 100% LB buff, okay? So it's 4 Chris with 100% buff. Now, it's easy enough to get a 100% LB buff because what pairs great with Sylvie is a tank, alright? So let's say you're using a physical tank. We'll go with my boy Wilhelm because he's my favorite. He has a 100% LB attack and magic buff that he can use, which will put her at a 4 Chris and 100%, right? And you'll see you'll get 44 a turn here, right? Which is just about where you need to be. So she might need to get like 1 crystal, right? So you have Bowie knife, Lust dagger, and if either one of these have the 150, you'll only need 4 crysts, right? Perfect. So let's look at one. Oh, see? It actually does say 5. I said 4. This one would need 5 crysts, right? Which would put you at like 46, I think. Oh, 53. 53, that's awesome, dude. Alright. So now you have 4 crysts with a 150% buff. Some characters have 150% LB AoE buff that they can throw on your characters. Okay, so this keeps her at almost 16,000 HP. 1,100 MP though, and 797 spirit. So it's like really heavy on the MP, just because of what gear it pulled, but most likely because of Squall's STMR being in there. And you can see her elemental resistance here is still solid. She's already with this build, she has 100% of a bunch of different elements, 50% of a bunch more, 30, 70. The only one that she's lacking on is fire, which would obviously go up to 70% when you use her limit burst. So I just wanted to like demonstrate my build that I'm using just out of the gear that I have myself, right? So this is the build. Bowie knife, Lust dagger, right? Mine actually didn't roll the 15%, but it did roll the rare, HP 10%, and HP 12%. All in one run, which was really fantastic. I already had the Bowie knife built for spirit. Glorious headpiece, summer trunks, twin blade clips, Emperor's ring, accelerating power. I actually have to pick this up. I actually didn't even go grab this yet. But that's part of the build. Judge's Oath, Dream of the Faith, Hero's Vow Earth, and Shiva. The reason why I use Shiva is because it provides immunity to Paralyze, which is the one disabling status condition that Sylvie has no protection from. Also, Shiva has a very high spirit threshold if you learn the 10% stat increase nodes. So, we're just going to take a look at how easy it is to fill up her limit burst, right? Now, this is just her by herself. Imagine her with a full team around her actually attacking and generating limit burst crystals, right? So you'll see I actually don't have accelerating power, and she might not have the Lust dagger equipped because I might have went through item world with it. Hold on. We'll take a look. But even without the accelerating power, it's still gonna fill up really fast. Yeah, I gotta put the Lust dagger back on. Let's just give up on that one right there. Sorry, bad example. Don't need that. Okay. So you see the Lust dagger has high tide, HP 12, HP 10. And the Bowie knife has Spirit 15, Spirit 10, and High Tide. So that's 200% right there. Her TMR ability from using the Twin Bunny Clips procs another 100%. So that's just 3 pieces of gear just alone, 300% LB fill rate. Summer Trunks, I believe, has LB fill rate. Okay, that's another one. I think it's 50%. This has autofill, right? Which is, I think, 2 or 3 per turn. Let me take a look. It's 3 per turn. Emperor's Ring gives her, obviously, a ton of HP and Spirit. So the accelerating power, I didn't go grab it yet, so we're just doing it without it, right? Dream of the Faith, 150% LB buff. Fill rate buff. Hero's Vow Earth, another 50%, and then Judge's Oath for HP, defense, Spirit, and some element resist. So you see, we're keeping her above 30% across the board. She's immune to all disabling status conditions that would possibly be a problem for her. And she's got just about 15k HP there. There's about 15k HP, so then add 3,500 more to that, you'll have like 18,000 HP per turn, right? And her MP will just cycle forever to not ever run out, really. Now, certain trials, obviously, you're going to want to, like, maybe ditch a little bit of that LB fill rate. Based on your need, maybe go a little more extreme in the HP or defense or Spirit categories. And in those situations, the builds that Howl's made really good for that. So, really, we're just going to attack, right? She's dual wielding, so she'll generate LB crystals twice. You see it's already almost full. And that's it, it's full. So imagine turn 1, the rest of your character. That's 45 LB Chris right there, man. That's crazy. It's crazy how fast that filled up. Without a move that like generates LB for herself. That was just from an auto attack. Now, think about, you have your tank, your healer, your support, your 2 chaining people, maybe a finisher, maybe a provoke tank, whatever, maybe a secondary tank. And your chainers attack turn 1, whatever, just to build up some LB Chris. She's full. Now everybody's got all of their breaks removed, stop removed, boost all the elemental resistance by 70%, restore 35% of everybody's MP, and give 3,500 extra HP to everybody, and you can do this every single turn without fail. Like I said, if one of your characters happens to have Entrust, even better, just in case she somehow fails to fill her limit burst, which I don't see happening very often. But some enemies are tricky, they don't generate a lot of LB Chris. She's just so good, man. She really is. She's one of my favorite units in the game, almost immediately. And I didn't think I was gonna like her that much, but I liked her enough to make a video about builds. Let's put it that way. I don't ever make those builds. I don't ever make videos like that. Okay? Now, I just want to, just disclaimer, you shouldn't trust anything I say, because it's totally unofficial. And we should only trust official news sources from Gumi themselves. But if you do want to take a huge risk on the internet and trust a bold stranger from New York about how to build Sylvie in a way that will work in almost any fight, consider putting one of those builds together that I showed you here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit like and subscribe, and I will see you later for the next video full of false, fake news, unofficial, not real content creation. Peace.